Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm joined by a very special guest who's given his very precious time to join us today for this very interesting deep dive conversation about CX. I'd like to introduce Mr. Hesham. Mr. Hesham, welcome.
Thank you, Sammar. Hesham Al-Ghamdi from Latif Jameel, Digital Innovations Director. Pleased to be participating in the SAP Blue Ribbon Conference.
Thank you so much. Very pleased to have you with us today. So for our audience, would you like to give a quick orientation about ALJ and its background?
Latif Jameel started business about 75 years ago, and mainly in the automotive sectors. We started selling Toyota brands, and we continue to grow into different sectors, including ALJ Finance, ALJ Enterprise, and also International. International, we diversified into many sectors, including real estate, power and energy, and engineering, and also Latif Jameel Poverty Lab, which is very famous and receiving a Nobel Prize.
So this is a very long-standing business and an important pillar of the Saudi marketplace. So, given that, I was very pleased recently to see the feature in McKinsey, where McKinsey described ALJ as a 75-year-old startup, an innovator that is leading with purpose. So what is your view around that? What is the purpose of the organization, and how does it stay at the cutting edge of innovation?
Yes, thank you. Latif Jameel main focus and values really on the core of the business. The values that goes from respect to empower, to engage, to have more of a philosophy of a guest first. So this is where the intrinsic value that comes inherited generation after generation. You could see the growth mainly in the market in Saudi Arabia, focusing on the guest first. It's a culture. It goes to the level that even we call the building, the head offices, the National Guest First Center.
So you would describe the guiding principle for ALJ as being very close to the customer, defining them as a guest.
Yes, Sammar. The guest for us is really welcoming, just like you have a guest at your house. This is how the culture we influence to our organization, to our partner networks. The customer is always having the right. The customer is really what we aim to provide the best and delight of services. The name comes from having the guest at the heart of the organization. So the core values we have is to ensure we always serve the guest at the best. We always try to provide the best services to the guests at the right time with the right offers as well.
Mm-hmm. So guest experience is absolutely a crucial pillar to the organization. So, as we talk about, moving into the technology space and how you've collaborated with SAP, the two major themes we're going to explore with you. The first theme is about how you have engaged using Qualtrics to drive that guest experience. So would you like to elaborate on how you've engaged with Qualtrics to really connect and develop that guest experience?
Yes, so Qualtrics is one of the key areas that we have tapped into. So before that, we used to call our customers. Part of our strategy is to serve the customer, to serve our guest, is to contact every customer who has done any business with Latif Jameel. So if he buys a car, if he visits showroom for auto repair, we have to contact and reach out to every single guest. So from there, this became a very huge operation. The average goes sometimes about 500,000 calls annually. So we thought about how can we introduce a different, more modern approach of reaching out to the customers. So we explored what we call the digital experience platform. We looked into a couple of solutions in the market, and we found out that Qualtrics is the one that meets the best criteria in enabling a digital customer experience, enabling reaching more customers at the convenience of our guests, making them able to cast their feedback, their positive, their negative, of any experience at the right time, and allowing us to action what we call a closed loop feedback, an action that goes throughout the organization to improve the process of serving the guest.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is a very important point you've highlighted here, and you've touched upon both the customer experience and the employee experience. So if you could please elaborate on that a little bit more, particularly from the employee side, because I think as customers or guests ourselves, we can definitely relate to some of the challenges guests may have. But how does the employee interact with each phase of the customer journey, and how have you built that into the process?
Yeah, so the process is really very, very much complicated process, looking into the CX, the customer experience, looking into the EX, the employee experience, and how can we merge this all together. It's actually a blessing for us to have Qualtrics having both of these functions very strong and very closely tied up. We did something, we call it an employee engagement survey. We call them associates. Associates is mainly to help and support the kind of atmosphere of partnership between us and our employees. So this engagement survey goes to every single associate, and the success rate has been done with Qualtrics. About 95% of associates have casted their engagement scores. So we take the scores of the engagement. We did a little bit of a practice and research. We correlated this with the net promoter scores that came from the customer experience, and really find a lot of exciting information that helps us improve and do more training and do more engaging programs to improve the guest experience.
Mm-hmm. And the digital reach that you have with your guests, how has Qualtrics helped you improve that reach before and after in the uptake and response to getting sentiment from customers?
So with Qualtrics, with the customer experience, we have been able to re-engineer the way we do surveys, the way we gather the feedback from our guests. So previously, we do this call center-based survey. Now, at the time the customer visits our showrooms, he receives an immediate notification through SMS that this is your experience, kindly rate the net promoter. How do you feel about your visit? How do you feel that this is really meeting your demands and expectations? And then we take this immediately and cascade this to our service and sales advisors. So it goes to action immediately. Previously, this was taking a long time to allow them to take this pure and fine-tuned voice to our front lines. Today, immediately, a service happens, the guest goes to the showroom. Within a couple of minutes, our service and sales advisors know exactly the score of this customer interaction.
And so this is all about, I think, connected experience. So one of the key objectives, I think, of the service industry and of your particular industry is to connect experience. So from sales, service, aftercare. And so Qualtrics has been a key part of building that connected experience for your organization. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely, Sammar. A connected experience is really allowing our service, front lines, and sales advisor to interact with these kind of feedback we saw it from our guest. So this connected experience goes through mobile apps, goes through websites. It's really fast. We have noticed an extreme fast response that they know exactly how to improve the experience day after day, receiving more feedback from our guests. And this also allowed us to cascade the management dashboard. So Qualtrics also offers a very smart dashboard with trends, with insights, with sentiments that allows us to know, like I call this the text analytics. Text analytics lets you know in details on a monthly basis how are we doing in the positives and the negatives as well. So it's a smart way of looking into the guest experience.
I think you've really described that very well. It's absolutely all about creating that real-time actionable intelligence. So you have the connection with the customer, with the employee, get the live feedback, and then management the organization gets insights upon which it can make improved decisions. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. And this is really, this is a vision. This is actually a dream come true. I've been back in this a couple of years ago. I started the call center project. I worked on it. Then I was moved leading the guest care organization, and then moved to IT, and today in this digital space. So it's a passion for me serving our guests, a passion to look into solutions that are really helping to always bridge the gap, enable a more guest engagement time over time.
Oh, excellent. I think as SAP, we can definitely appreciate that passion. It's our passion to help organizations such as yours achieve those particular ambitions. So looking to the other key pillar of your strategy around commerce, SAP has also been your partner for enabling your commerce proposition, and that's also been a transformational journey. Would you like to elaborate on how that journey started and which areas of the business you have been able to progress with commerce?
Yeah. So the commerce, the SAP commerce is one of the major strategies. This came after laying the foundation of implementing a strong ERP system, which also resides on SAP. So the next building blocks of this is really to connect the customers digitally. We have started the e-commerce journey a couple of years ago. We did a lot of blueprinting to understand how we know and how we don't know these interactions between us and our guest. We started with a very challenging area, which is the B2B, serving our network of partners. And the project was a massive project. The project teams go about 200. We had a very strong project management practice and governance. And it was really one of an exciting project with many opportunities and challenges. So for us, connecting our customers digitally through partner, through all the ecosystem available today is one of the top strategy to enable more, again, customer self-service portals, enabling more insights, enabling more speed of actions to resolve issues whenever they happen. So these are kind of the opportunities we have really flourished from the B2B experience. And next, we are moving also with the B2C, serving our direct customers we interact with, either from showrooms or from service centers. This is the next big step we are looking at. So a connected customer with having the capabilities to get everything done digitally. This is the desire we are looking at.
This sounds very exciting, and I'm very pleased that SAP is part of this journey, making this happen. One specific question I had about this is how you manage the transition of your customers, firstly with the B2B project, which already is live, is how did you manage the adoption for customers moving from a traditional way of working to a digital way of working and adopting the B2B platform?
Yeah, that's a great question because it happened at the difficult time of the pandemic, the COVID-19, and we had to really go live in a very difficult situation. But interestingly, everything was done virtually. We had these virtual training centers. We did recordings. We did training and testing over a period of about 1 month. We separated the go live of the two major systems, one for B2B parts, the other was B2B fleet and vehicles. We separated the go live to allow us to really have a very strong focus to achieve the success of change management. It was really a different experience. Mostly was done virtually and digitally. And alhamdulillah, it was really very successful.
Mm-hmm. So what was the reaction of your B2B customers to this transition? Were they very positive about the platform and how they could engage with you now?
Oh yes, they were really positive. I mean, for them, moving from a traditional based of operations like using emails, using Excel sheets, having to call our partners and associates who serve them from Abdul Latif Jameel is really a challenge with the huge operation that we have today. So for them today, it's self-service at the fingertips. They could do anything. They could do mass orders, modify orders. It is really a transformational transitions for them from, I would call it, it's not only e-commerce, but it's a complete digital transformation platform, allowing them to be very much connected with Abdul Latif Jameel and also connected with their employees, helping them sell better and serve their own customers better and better.
Mm-hmm. And so going back to the original description by McKinsey, of the organization being a continuous innovator, I think here we have an example of how you've innovated in this space and be able to set the pace in the marketplace by engaging with customers digitally and giving them the transparency into the ordering process and delivery, which perhaps they did not have before. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally agree. You see, our senior management, president, they all have the passion to first serve our guest. And then second, how can you really efficiently use technology through digitalization, through connectedness? This is how the philosophy comes from our senior management. And then cascading this vision throughout the organization, the culture changing of us today, we're looking into a hybrid shift. Today, the vision is actually, if you want to buy a car, you'll still have to go to the showroom. However, once you go to the showroom, you decide on the best car you have after looking into the colors and maybe touching the leather of the vehicle. The next move for us is really have a complete digital connections from buying, from paying, up to the delivery process. This is the vision for us moving forward in 2021.
Mm-hmm. And absolutely, we look forward as SAP to being part of that journey, helping you articulate the vision to value and articulating how we transition customer processes to this connected experience. Very much looking forward to doing that with you. So one other important question to wrap up before we conclude is that how do you measure a success? So you've outlined a number of key areas for employee experience, customer experience, and the commerce experience. What KPIs and measures have you put in place to be able to measure success quantitatively?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. And this is where, when you start to get the budget approval, you have to put this ahead of the approval. So we have a process called business value realization. Any project we start, we really have to start evaluating what the possibilities are that are emerging from the solution, the digitalization we are undertaking. So we go into a very lengthy process of analyzing what are we to, for example, in e-commerce, providing more self-service, providing more speed and efficiency, reducing sometimes the cost with Qualtrics. In fact, that was made a reduction of what we call a telephonic human interaction, going down by about 30 to 40% of the cost. So sometimes the solution by itself pays off as a result of this kind of transformation. So it's an important factor as an ROI and a business value realization. This is how we first start with a product, and then during the course of implementation, after the go live, we start auditing this practice. Did we achieve the success? Was it more than what we achieved or less than what we achieved? And then we start the fine-tuning process. Of course, any solution you go live, you have to look into what areas have not been done the best way, what areas can be improved, what area can be strengthened to become better and better. So it's really a journey of success, a journey of criticizing what works and what really gets you the best out of your solutions.
Mhm. So to summarize that, I mean, you've touched upon a number of key criteria there. So not only has this journey with SAP helped you save costs, it's also improved customer satisfaction and improved customer engagement through digital channels. Is that something that you agree with?
Yes, Sammar, totally agree. I mean, with SAP, we have been able to achieve success, accomplish our strategies and objectives. We continue to explore what new products emerge from SAP, how can they serve us for our pursue for the perfection of guest experience, the guest delight. We continue to really partnership with SAP, and we look forward for more and more very insightful solutions helping us serve our guests at the best.
And to wrap up, my final question just before we conclude is, would you have one particular recommendation for our audience on how to engage with CX for the best result?
Yeah, thank you, Sammar. That's a great question and important as well. The transformation, the CX transformation is really about building blocks. Prioritize what are the foundation, move to the next block. It's really building block after block of success. You have to really do the best to digest what are the most pain points that you have today, what are the most opportunities you want to do. Put the strategy that allows you in probably 2 to 3 year strategy with this foundation, with the building blocks, and inshallah, you will get there successfully.
Inshallah. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Hesham. I think some great insight there the audience will very much appreciate. I think there's some key lessons learned from your experience and journey and how you have achieved key business benefits, not only in the delivery phase, but also moving on and to enable the organization for an end-to-end connected experience. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time, and I would hand back to the team. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for SAP of hosting us in this great event. We wish you all the best, inshallah.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Thank you.